Hey guys, how's it going? So I'm back here at Supermat Shooting Sports in Newport, Michigan. I've got Mackenzie here and State Representative Jamie Thompson, who is an awesome 2A supporting representative and voted no on all of these gun control laws.
Yes, sir.
However, everybody in Lansing did not vote the way she did, so here we are. Now, I just did a previous video talking about the universal licensing registry scheme. So if you didn't see that yet, make sure you go back and check out my previous video. Now we're going to talk about the so-called safe storage law. Now, we've talked about before that this is safe storage, making it safe for the criminal to come in your home, cock-locked, ready to rock, while you're sitting there fumbling with your safe, with your cable, whatever. And I have lots of thoughts on that. However, what we're going to talk about here is it's not just within your home like you might think. There's actually more stuff now to do when you come to the gun shop that has to do with these so-called safe storage laws. And this stuff's like totally crazy. So I want to talk to you real quick. So there's a bunch of requirements, and we're going to get Mackenzie's opinion on that from the gun shop owner. But I'm looking at this literature, guys, that they have that's going to be handed out. I'm looking through here, okay. Storage requirements, penalties, and then I see MDHHS, Michigan Department of Health and Human Services. What's your reaction knowing that they're now getting in on this?
I'm very disappointed actually, because right now in the state of Michigan we have just an octopus of a department. The Department of Health and Human Services is funding more than 1,500 programs, 700 pages worth of line items that they're financially being funded with. And I cannot get a hold of DHS to help one of my constituents who is a single mom whose food stamp card got turned off and wants to know why, because she did turn in what she was supposed to turn in, but somehow the information got lost. I can't get DHS to investigate the Walter Reuther facility where a 7-year-old boy just got stomped in the head and has brain damage. I can't get them to follow through with what they're supposed to do now. Now we are giving them the responsibility of maintaining firearm safety in the state of Michigan, and it all is going to go through them, which means they're going to get more money.
So they can't do a good job actually addressing health, which mental health is a big deal in the state of Michigan right now too. And while they're already not very competent when it comes to managing anything to do with health, now they're in the gun control business. So I just want you guys to see how this starts creeping. Once you pass something that they say is so-called common sense gun safety, now we've got the healthcare arm of the state of Michigan involved. Don't like that. All right. So, in the previous video, we talked about this extra piece of paperwork, RI-60. This is now for long guns. Watch that video if you haven't yet. Got a whole bunch more paperwork here. This is all stuff to do with the so-called safe storage law. What's this stuff all about, and what's your take on it?
Yeah, so now on top of already providing a trigger lock to every person that purchases a firearm, which we do offer it free of charge, just because if you ever feel the need, you want to lock up your gun, I feel like you should have a free option to do so if you feel like that's something you're interested in. But now I am required to give you a trigger lock with every gun for free, which does implement an adjustment potentially in pricing on firearms across the board for everybody in the state of Michigan. Maybe not, but another thing is that now we have to be giving out 3 separate documents to each person that range from just this one single piece of paper to this very large over 10 pieces of paper here on this side. So at this very second as of today, when we're looking at this early on, I am required to print these myself and hand them out at this very second. Hopefully something changes there where they will provide them by the state, but from my previous experience being in the gun industry this long, they don't rarely provide anything, or they do in very small quantities at a very slow rate. So this is something that I will be required to do, and will definitely increase as well in regards to pricings and things like that if it's something we have to do and take time up in our day to service clients.
So we feel as legislators, even though I voted no on all of this, this did pass. So my question to DHS, which our office did email them, if you're requiring a business to do something, then you should be supplying that business with that either packet, that pamphlet, that flyer, because that is costing them extra money to print, supply, time management. And if you required it, then give them some funding so that they can compensate themselves, or provide it for them. It's not that hard.
So in addition to him having to keep this extra copy of the RI-60 forever now, especially with the long guns we're talking about. There's also going to be another waiver that we have off camera over there where people are going to be signing that they've received all of these, and he has to keep that for a period of, I believe, 6 years, right?
Yeah.
So this is more paperwork. And I would know, you know, think about it. Money doesn't grow on trees. So whether it's him having to print these out of his own pocket, or even if MDHHS or other different parts of the Michigan bureaucracy are providing them free, that's your tax dollar. That's his tax dollar. So this is just a more cost that just gets absorbed into, I'm going to assume, higher taxes. They probably paid like 100,000 times more than they needed to get this designed, if I were to guess. So this is all just more money the state's spending on bureaucracy, and your local small business actually having to spend. I mean, this is a decent chunk of paperwork we're now getting here, where some of this gets handed out to every single sale or transfer. Some of this has to be stored by you for 6 years, forever.
I would store it forever just to be on the safe side, because we know how that goes.
Now, this isn't a coincidence. I want to tie this in real quick here, because we see them coming to Lansing, Michigan, the gun control advocates. And it just so happens that every time they come into Michigan, they're mirroring the same things that the current former vice president's administration is talking about in Washington. So I think it's kind of curious that right around the time that they're adding extra paperwork here that he has to keep forever, they had just put in that national rule that you have to keep the 4473 forever, pursuant to the Safer Communities Act. So we're kind of seeing where it's what's going on in the state right now, combined with what's going on with the federal government, who's very anti-Second Amendment, and it's just like all coming on the gun owners and local gun shop shoulders.
It really is, and that's what frustrates me the most. It makes me want to speak out, because you have, 54 or 56 representatives, 54 in the state of Michigan right now that's celebrating this victory for this gun control. But do you see any of them going around to the business owners that sell firearms and saying, how is this working for you? Just wanted to make sure you had everything you needed. We implemented this to make our communities more safer, but we still appreciate you as a business owner who indeed wants to comply with the law and make sure that everything they do is in compliance and run a successful business so that they can provide food for their family. They're not coming around making sure that this is all taken care of and how they can help them. The red tape, the extra paperwork, and the inability for them to actually see how this law affects people on the ground is absolutely disgusting. It feels like to me that they have these ideas of concepts and laws in their brain, and it sounds so good, and then they put it into a bill, and the reality is that they didn't think 2 steps further on what it was going to look like to actually put into practice in the real world. Not only with our gun laws recently, but with our election laws, with department laws. Pretty much 85% of what was passed in 2023 took effect on February 13th. And most of that, they have no idea how that's going to actually be implemented in the state of Michigan or how it's going to affect you, and I don't think they care.
Have you seen, has anybody reached out to you from the people that voted for these bills?
No, unfortunately not. No representatives of any type. Neither is the departments that have tacked onto these as well. So nothing from any Michigan departments, either whether it be the state police, local, and or even ATF. I had to call all 3 of the ATF, the Michigan State Police, and the local county sheriffs to even get somewhat of an answer that was still a we're not exactly sure answer. So, because nobody wants to be held liable, which makes sense. But, at some point there needs to be a firm line, because the gray area is what can get us in very big trouble, especially now when I reached out to my local ATF agent that they said to reach out to Michigan State Police and that they were unable to help me at the time. But I know when a gun store gets audited, they know the laws like the back of their hand at the ATF of Michigan State law. Trust me, I've had that firsthand experience.
That's a good point. And in this case, even though she voted against it and doesn't want to have to even be here talking about this, we'd rather be out shooting guns together. Your office has been advocating for our local small business here.
We've been trying to get some very specific answers here. And thank you, Micah, for doing this, because you have brought the 2 of us together, and you are always advocating for our Second Amendment rights and the small businesses throughout our community. You're doing a great job. Keep up the good work.
Thank you. And I'm actually trying to bring all of you together that are watching. So make sure you guys are supporting your local businesses. Make sure you're holding your local representatives accountable, and we'll be back for more. All right, guys. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.